On to order the North Ridgeville City Council meeting. Today's date, July the 20th of 2020. Please rise for the unification pledge of allegiance. Father, as we come in prayer this evening, we ask that you give us the strength, the wisdom, and the guidance to make our city a better place. We pray for those who are sick and afflicted, and always we pray for those who keep us safe and are the first responders. In your name we pray. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank.
Here.
Booth.
Here.
Havens.
Here.
Winkle.
Here.
Here. Molesky.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Service Director.
Here.
Law Director.
Here.
Engineer.
Here.
Auditor.
Here.
Clerk of Council. Here.
Thank you. Tonight under minutes, we have the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of July the 6th, 2020. Are there any changes or corrections at this time? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. We have the City Council meeting minutes of July the 6th, 2020. Are there any changes or corrections at this time? Hearing none, those minutes are also approved. Please note that we also have the Planning Commission meeting minutes of July the 14th, 2020. At this time, we will move to our lobby session. As you know, we've been trying to get everybody involved, let them join through our city website and join us through Zoom or Skype or on YouTube. As we have set up through our city website right now, our council clerk, Tara Pete, is currently waiting for people in the lobby session electronically to join the meeting. At that time, she will read their question to us, and the mayor's administration or city council will respond accordingly. Council Clerk, are there any comments or anybody in the session at this time?
Mr. Chairman, we received 2 emails in advance requested to be read into the record. Both are on the same matter. This evening you have the Planning Commission actions before you for a vote, and both matters are regarding the additions and renovations to Fire Station number 2. The first email is from the president of the Spencer Court Condo Association. Her name is Rachel Ball. The chief stated residents should not be caught off guard as renovations have been on the books since 1973 and the builder of Spencer Court knew renovations were coming. This is unfair because even if the builder knew of the possible renovations, that does not help us as he had no interest in the issue once the units were sold. Beyond that, to be fair to us, who thinks to go to the city and ask if they're going to move an existing building closer to their property line? It just seemed like an insensitive response to try and back his plan, and it disregarded the effects that this will have on our daily lives. We just want to know we are being thought of in the process. Number 2, most of us knew changes were coming. However, being that there is so little land along the line, we just assumed they would build further south and not closer to our property on the east. Residents are concerned with the quality of life and that it may decrease from the construction process, increased noise, closer activity and commotion. We may be used to the noises of the fire station, but it doesn't mean that they aren't bothersome. How might the renovations affect sound and activity closer to the property line? We understand the need for renovations and updates. We want to know that we have been considered. If you put yourself in our position, would you be happy with the proposed changes? If nothing can be done regarding the plans, we would like to ask that it be considered that the city add onto the plans the addition of some kind of sound barrier or high quality privacy fence to soften the effects this will have on the residents along that line. We're very concerned about how this is going to affect our property value. End of email. Second email. Betty Gillis. We all assumed that the extension would be in the back, not to the east. 20 inches from fence is ridiculous. I put 2 chairs back to back, 20 inches apart, and I could hardly fit between them. I'm 5'5", 133 pounds. Did the architect put himself in a 20-inch space and see exactly how feasible this is? Question, that is not even enough room for most men to fit in sideways. You can't even swing a hammer in 20 inches. You can't kneel to do work in 20 inches. So how are they going to build that exterior wall against our fence? Will our fence have to be taken down during construction? Also, how are they going to maintain, repair the outside of that building in the future? Question, if you look at the photo that Rachel sent photos in a previous email. There are a lot of pipes and wires coming out on that side of the building. Is the plan to have those kinds of items on the new building? As that will even shorten the inches to the fence. Question, also in the photo is a roof overhang. If that is on the new building, it would clearly hang over our fence. Exactly how close will the building be, including all the attachments on it? Question, what is going to be on the ground against our fence? Mulch, concrete, or just dirt? They can't plant grass because a mower won't fit. How are they going to weed? What looks great on paper sometimes is just not right in actuality. Maybe the construction company, someone should mark a line down that fence at 20 inches and walk it. End of emails.
Also, thank you to Ms. Rachel Ball and Ms. Betty Gillis for your feedback. We always look forward to hearing back from our community members and to address their questions and concerns. At this time, I'll turn that over to Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to address that or anybody on your administrative team.
Actually, Chief Reese did provide a response to you guys to those questions that were asked, which we could then. Okay. Which we could then forward to those homeowners.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Assistant Clerk, are there any other comments or any other people in session at this time?
Not at this time.
Also, any other members of council, would you like to weigh in on the last person's comments? Okay, we're going to sit tight for 30 seconds and see if anybody else joins us electronically. Give everybody a moment to get involved and share their thoughts. For the record, Councilman Dennis Boos is with us this evening. He's joining us remotely. Dennis? Okay, at this time, are there any other people in lobby session?
Not at this time.
Very good, we'll move on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On tonight's agenda, under second readings, is T80-2020, authorizing me to enter into a contract for the purchase and application of Reclamite Asphalt Rejuvenator. The application of Reclamite to recently asphalted streets will extend the service line for the pavement while conserving the maintenance budget. At the time that will appear on the agenda, I'll move to dispense with the second and third readings and the emergency clause so we can move forward with that project as soon as possible. Our street department, our service department is finishing up their prep work on Poplar from Rosebell to Rhonda, and they'll be paving that section later this week, depending on weather conditions. Their plan right now is to mill Dorchester and Westminster this Friday, July 24th, with paving to follow next week. And for more up-to-date information on the paving schedule, please see our city's website. On Wednesday, 22nd, from 8 to 9, I will have my monthly coffee and conversation. That meeting will occur during Zoom, and you can visit the city's website for more information on how to join that conversation. As you're aware, Lorraine County is now at a level 3 as far as the Ohio Public Health and Advisory Alert System is concerned. The number of cases of coronavirus are increasing. Masks are now required in all indoor locations and outdoors if you're unable to maintain social distancing. If you visit any of our city-owned properties, including City Hall, please make sure that you wear your mask when entering our facilities. We want to ensure your safety and the safety of our employees. Thank you for your cooperation. Finally, I'd like to, at this point, make a motion to suspend the bylaws to allow the Utilities Committee report that we discussed earlier this evening to appear on tonight's agenda under committee reports.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Boos, to suspend the bylaws and adding T81. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed? 81 has been added to this evening's agenda.
Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Safety Director.
The report this evening.
Thank you, Council President. Currently, the engineering department has out one contract for bid, full depth concrete repairs associated with OPWC or Ohio Public Works contract 33. Gatestone Circle and Rock Point Circle are part of that bid. Those bids will be opened on August 4th in a couple of weeks. Update on US 20 Center Ridge Road widening project. ODOT's contractor, Fetchco Excavating, has shifted traffic at State Route 83 and Center Ridge Road for the last phase of construction at that intersection. The previously placed temporary concrete pavement and the remaining existing asphalt roadway will be removed. Once it's removed completely, the subbase will be prepared for the new concrete curb and gutter and the placement of the new asphalt pavement courses, just like all the other quadrants of the intersection. Crews are continuing to prepare the multi-use trail along the south side of the roadway from the east to the west. There are also some concrete crews that are continuing work on drive aprons along the entire corridor. Ranger Way, the contractor has placed all mainline pavement for Ranger Way. The contractor is currently working on Bainbridge Road to place the asphalt widening portion of the project with new concrete curb and gutter. A portion of Kensington has also been paved. Work shall be substantially complete by August 7th, in a couple weeks here, so they're moving right along. State Route 83, Shelley Company has been working through the length of State Route 83 from our Southport limits to our Northport limits. All mainline paving at this time is complete. Shelley Company is currently adjusting water valves, monument boxes, manholes, and catch basins within the roadway. Any remaining pavement markings should be installed this week, weather permitting. The completion date for the project is July 31st. That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Ms. Auditor.
Thank you, Council President. On the agenda tonight is ordinance T91, which authorizes the execution of the then and now certificate for payments greater than $3,000 by the city's fiscal officer. The intention of this ordinance is to allow for payments greater than $3,000, which have been approved by council through the appropriation process, to be made without the need of additional legislation. I brought this up during my report the last council meeting. Should a payment come through the auditor's office that exceeds the $3,000 limit and has not been appropriated and approved by council, we will certainly prepare legislation for council's review. Also before council tonight is the annual tax budget. I forwarded each of you a copy of the budget for your review. While the Lorain County Budget Commission in their April 13th meeting waived the requirement to formally adopt the tax budget, I did want to forward that to council for review and approval as we historically have done. Keeping in mind that the tax budget is an estimate and mainly takes into consideration just historical trends at this point. We will revisit the revenue estimates again in the fall during the appropriation process when more information is available to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go to other reports. We have the June 2020 Building Department Report, the June 2020 Fire Department Report, the June 2020 Mayor's Court Report, the June 2020 Police Support Car Report, and the June 2020 Water Distribution Report. On to Council Committee reports. Clerk, please read the report.
Committee of the Whole report dated July 6, 2020, which tabled the discussion for T77, 2020, T84, 2020, T86, 2020, T87, 2020, and T88.
Good. I will make a motion to go ahead and accept that report.
Second.
It was moved by DeVries, seconded by Avens to accept the Council Committee report of Committee of the Whole report. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Very good. We've also, in addition to this evening, with the mayor at T81, we suspended the bylaws. So at this time, we will need to accept that report, which is T81, which is also known as the Utilities Committee Report.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle, seconded by Avens. Very good. Clerk, could you read T81 for us?
T81.
Good. Utilities.
Just this. Utilities Committee dated July 20th, 2020. We have considered the matters of T81 2020 and recommend city adopt it as submitted.
Okay. We had a motion by Winkle, seconded by Avens to accept the report, also known as Utilities Committee Report. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none. All in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed? Assistant Clerk, could you check Councilman Booth's microphone? I can't hear his voice.
I'm sorry, I'll speak louder.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
At this point, I'd like to make a motion to add T81 to the second readings.
We need to amend that this time.
We will when we read.
Very good. Let's move the mayor, seconded by Molesky, to add this to second readings this evening. Are there any comments or questions? We'll vote at this time. All in favor, say yes. Yes. Opposed? It's been added to second readings. This time we need a motion to dispense with the third reading.
Not yet.
Okay, you want to amend it at this time?
We'll wait until we get to second readings, because right now we're still in council.
Okay, so then move to second readings of T81.
Right.
There is no new business at this time. The clerk, we have the planning commission actions. Would you mind reading those for us, please?
Taken at the July 14th 2020 meeting, applicant Bradley Mullen Weichman Architects, 4525 Indianola Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43214, owner of North Ridgeville Fire Station Number 2, request additional and renovations to Fire Station Number 2, location 34523 Lorraine Road in a B3 Highway Commercial District, permanent parcel number 07-000-105-1-038. PC action approved with a vote of 4-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Avens.
I'd like to move to approve, but before, I just wanted to let you know that the activities being performed in this new addition will not add any new noise to that area. Plus, there will be a fire-rated wall in that area, which is basically 12 inches of masonry. And the question of the utilities, it's all going to be underground and there is no overhang. So the committee did see that it was a project worth voting for, and it was unanimous, and I move to approve.
Second.
It was moved by Avens, seconded by Molesky to accept the report from the planning commission. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none. All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Clerk, please read the next application.
Applicant Richard Strickland, UYA Holdings LLC, 118 Mill Street, Medina, Ohio, 44256. Owner of UYA Holdings LLC, 118 Mill Street, Medina, Ohio, 44256. Request construction of a production facility. Location 7385 Race Road, south of Center Ridge in a B3 Highway Commercial District, permanent parcel number 07-00-034-000-137. PC action approved with a vote of 4-0, conditional upon side yard setback being 25 feet.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Evans.
this gentleman's expanding his business, business is doing well for him. He needs this additional building, and I move to approve.
Second.
It was moved by Avens, seconded by Hung to approve the actions by the planning commission. Are there any other comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, all in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed? It passes. Clerk, please read the next applicant.
Applicant Joel Molnar, Bob Schmidt Homes, Inc., 9095 Gatestone Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Same. Request final plat approval of Ridgefield subdivision, phase number 16. Location south of Sprague Road and adjacent to the Cuyahoga-Lorraine County line in an R1 residential district, permanent parcel number 07-000-001-000-409. PC action approved with a vote of 4-0.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Evans.
move to approve.
It was moved by Evans, seconded by Molesky to approve the planning commission actions. Are there any comments or questions at this time? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Very good. That will take us on to recess.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Hong.
motion to dispense with recess?
Second.
It was moved by Hong, seconded by Winkle to dispense with recess. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All opposed? Dispensing with recess. On to first readings.
T90-2020, an ordinance amending the NRCO Chapter 1256 signs.
Mr. President, just as a way of information, our moratorium on billboards expires August 15th, I believe it is. And so at the next meeting, we will need to pass this with the emergency in order to have this take effect before the moratorium ends.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions at this time? All right, T91.
T91-2020, an ordinance authorizing the execution of then and now certificates by the city fiscal officer and payments of amount due various purchase orders.
Mr. Mayor, my understanding this is time sensitive. We do need to probably get this taken care of this evening. Is that correct, Ms. Auditor?
That is correct.
Therefore, I'll make a motion to dispense with the second and third reading.
Second.
You're gonna need a voice vote, Marty.
It was moved by DeVries, seconded by Avens, dispense with the second and third reading. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swain? No. Booz?
Yes.
Avens?
Yes.
Winkle?
No.
Hung?
No.
Molesky?
Yes.
DeVries?
Yes.
4 yes and 3 no.
Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second?
I'll also make a motion to add the emergency clause. It was moved by DeVries, seconded by Avens to adopt T91. I'm sorry, it was moved by DeVries, seconded by Molesky to add the emergency clause to 291 for the reasons stated earlier by the auditor. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Hung.
discussing the now and then ordinance, Ohio Revised Code clearly states an expenditure that has not been approved and encumbered prior to purchase or service in the amount of $3,000 must be approved by council legislation. I first had a question, just let's clarify on this legislation, the city fiscal officer in the legislation, in terms of our language here for city council means city auditor. So that's what we're referring to, that's a yes? You're
Correct. From my
referring
understanding, Mr. Lauder, if you'd like to clarify, but that is my understanding.
No, this is correct.
to? Okay, so in my research, we appropriate for the funds for this in the budget. We aren't appropriating for each individual case. So in my research, you can't transfer that authority to the auditor. It takes away control from our control as council to approve them individually and eliminates transparency between the administrative and legislative side of the city. In my opinion, it conflicts with Ohio Revised Code, and we might be better off taking this to administrative committee so all of council can get a firm grip on it and a firm handle on the information.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to weigh in. Your thoughts?
I have, I know that this is something that has been passed by other municipalities. The legality of it has been challenged.
I believe we need further clarification. I'm going to refer this to the Finance Committee. Since the Finance Committee does oversee the budget as well as the approval on the budget itself. So we'll refer this to Finance Committee. T92.
T92, 2020, an ordinance adopting and improving the tax budget of the city of North Ridgeville for the year beginning January 1st, 2021, and submitting the same to the Lorraine County Auditor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
To dispense with the second and third readings for T92.
Second.
Moved by the mayor, second by Winkle, to dispense with the second and third readings for T92. Are there any comments or questions at this time? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
All opposed?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency so that we could meet the filing deadline of July 20th.
It was moved by Booth, second by Winkle, to add the emergency clause for T92 for the reasons stated. Are there any comments or questions at this time? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
All opposed? It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle, to adopt T92 with the emergency clause in place. Any comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
Yes.
Booth,
yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
Valesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance 5756, 2020.
T79.
T79, 2020, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with the consulting engineering firm for engineering plans and specification for a roundabout at the intersection of Mills Road, Stony Ridge Road, and Avalon Drive in an amount not to exceed $164,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Sway.
I've had quite a few emails and phone calls about the roundabout. It's more or less concerning how it's going to affect the traffic on Avalon. There's already a traffic issue, speeding issue. I don't know if anybody can say if we're gonna look into how we're gonna alleviate that with this roundabout or do something about it.
So I'll refer that question from Ms. Swain to Mr. Rodriguez, our engineer, or Mr. Safety Director.
I've fielded this week and last week several questions from residents. One from a police officer that actually lives a couple doors down on Avalon. And I've sent him, actually I received it from Dan and sent him a drawing and asking if, and we had a very nice conversation with regard to it. And I believe that he was totally satisfied with the answer. Now, would he like something else? You can't line that road up. The residents down there that are building the new house actually moved the house so that the figure 8 will put in. And other than that person calling, which is the second house in, the first house, I believe the lady called too. And we had a conversation with regards to the roundabout and never heard back from her since that communication.
So how do we feel about putting the entrance of a roundabout into a subdivision's
This,
main entrance?
if it is an elongated 8, it's not a roundabout, it is elongated 8, so you've got 2 chicanes, like going through a chicane. You're gonna substantially slow that traffic down, not only on Mills Road, on Avalon, as well as on Stony Ridge Road. Because you're gonna have to navigate actually two circles in itself. And it's really gonna enhance this, the visibility and the landscaping in the area for the entrance to not only Avalon, but the entrance to the city of North Ridgeville. It'll be just like, and instead of having double landscape, I mean, it'll have double landscaping rather than having the landscaping we have in Mills and 83. It absolutely is going to add to the safety of both intersections, unless Dan would say it's not.
From a safety aspect, I definitely think it will enhance safety. It's definitely going to slow traffic. The question of speeders down Avalon is 2 separate issues. The roundabout is not to slow speeders down Avalon. That's a whole nother conversation. The roundabout is definitely going to help us alleviate the traffic congestion and the ability to make left-hand turns out of Avalon or Stony, or Mills Road onto Stony at any point, at any time during any day. It really takes our level of service from Ds and Fs to As conditions, As and Bs conditions once that's installed. But there are 2 separate issues here. There's a traffic congestion issue at Mills, Stony, and Avalon. And the other issue on Avalon is a different issue. Not to say that the roundabout and that issue are 2 separate issues. I can't answer the speeding issue.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Ms. Swain, do you have any further questions?
I just, from the emails and the phone calls I received, I feel like the residents of Avalon Drive believe that this is going to make their cut-throughs worse. And there's really nothing that is being done about the speeding issue as far as their safety of their children are concerned down there. I know Council Large Molesky and I have tried to have conversations, and due to COVID, it just hasn't worked out to try to figure out a way to help those issues, but nobody can seem to come up with a good answer for it.
Well, Mr. President, without knowing who the emails and conversation has come from, it could have come from the same individuals that I spoke to and that Dan was involved with the answers. I would certainly like to have you forward that on, and I think that we can address their concerns, because this is truly going to slow the traffic down there. And it's done, this elongated 8 is done down in Columbus area. And it's really in all over the state, probably all over the United States, to enhance the safety. And when Dan said we go from a D intersection or an F to an A or a B substantially tells you that engineering wise, that you're gonna have a much safer intersection of what we have right now. As traffic picks up, it's gonna be much safer. It's gonna be an A or a B rather than a D or an F. So if you could pass that on, we'd be more than happy. I don't think we're gonna pass this evening. Or maybe we are, but we're certainly gonna make sure that it works appropriately, and it will be at that A and B.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Any other comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President, I had a question as well. Do we have an artist rendering on this yet?
Yes,
Get a copy of that to our email?
yes, I will send one to the assistant clerk and she can disperse that to council.
Thank you.
Mr. President, also I passed that rendering on to the individual that, the gentleman that asked for it, and ask him if there's any other questions that I can answer after he looks at it, to certainly get back to me. And he hasn't to date asked any other further questions. I think that we really together answered the questions and gave him some credence, you might say, that, you know, that it's going to enhance and make it safer for residents leaving Avalon, entering Avalon, leaving the city, entering Avon, or going on Mills Road. It's certainly going to be an enhancement to that intersection, better than we could ever do with a traffic light, because you couldn't. You'd have to have two different traffic lights in there in order to stop.
Thank you. Ms. White, any other questions?
No, I agree. I mean, I think something definitely needs done at that intersection. The biggest concerns coming from the constituents is the, you know, huge problem in Avalon they're having. I do agree with you.
Very good. Any other comments or questions right now on T79?
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Booth.
Yes, I had similar safety concerns when the roundabout was built at 83 of Mills Road, because there are a couple of residential streets that enter onto 83 that were very close to the proposed roundabout. And I initially was against that roundabout and in fact voted against that roundabout. However, I've said publicly several times, it was the best thing that could happen to that intersection. As we've seen since the roundabout was put in. And again, it's not a figure eight, but it is a roundabout. Safety issues have been improved. I don't recall what the rating improved from when it was just a traffic light. But again, I can empathize with the phone calls I've gotten a couple myself that the other council people are receiving. But at the end, it's a change, and there's people that don't want change, and I understand that. However, the safety of all of our residents, we have an opportunity to obtain some money to help in this process, and I think that it's a good process moving forward to get this project moving. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. Any other comments or questions at this time on T79? Okay, T81.
T81, an ordinance increasing sewer collection system rates and amending the NRCO section 1044.01 user charges.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
make a motion to dispense with the third reading.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle to dispense with the third reading for T81. Any other comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President, I
Yes, Mr.
understand,
Molesky.
we need to pass this, but I also strongly feel that the public needs to hear all three readings when it comes to an increase in their sewer rate.
Mr. President,
One moment, Mr. Mayor, would you like to address that? What there is an urgency to pass this evening?
So the study that you heard about tonight from Justine from the ECOM calculated the increase based off of the rate being in effect for 6 months. The earliest that we could begin collection on this would be August 1st, which would set us back a whole month. So the numbers are gonna have to be rerun to see how that affects the, not only the current budget for projects, but also future as well.
Thank you. Ms. Swank, you had a comment?
I just wanted to say, I believe you skipped over T.
Yeah, we did.
Did I skip you?
Well, we didn't try to get to that.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes.
President, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to amend T81 to change the section 1 date of July 1st, 2020 to August 1st, 2020.
Second.
Moved by Mayor, seconded by Booth to amend T81 to reflect the corrected dates as stated by the mayor. Are there any comments or questions at this time? All in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Has been amended.
Motion to dispense with third reading.
Okay, so dispense with the third reading. Sorry, who made that motion? Going back here.
I think that was
Moved by Booth, seconded
Booth.
by.
Okay. Moved by Booth, seconded by Wakefield. Dispense with the third reading for T81. Once again, any final comments or questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor say yes.
You're gonna need a voice.
Yes.
Yes. All say no.
No.
When you go no, then I go to. Right. Hearing that, clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
No.
Booth,
Yes.
Havens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung,
No.
Molesky.
No.
DeVries.
Yes.
There are 4 no, 4 yeses, and 3 no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I make a motion to add the emergency so that the collection can begin by August 1st.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle to add the emergency clause to T81 for the reasons stated by Councilman Booth as far as adding the monthly collection. Are there any final comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
yes, I understand that some council people may be apprehensive of increasing the rate. However, our costs have increased. We need to cover those costs, and the comprehensive rate study that was completed and reviewed in the utilities committee meeting earlier tonight made all the necessary reasons why that needs to be done. If we don't pass this evening with the emergency, it likely will result in a higher, or could result in a higher percent of increase. And we have to remember that the 10% increase is because we're only using it for now 5 months. So that kind of inflates the percentage. But it is necessary. The rate study confirmed it is necessary. We haven't had a rate increase in several years, and this needs to be done to protect the infrastructure of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as make sure that services are provided to all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. Ms. Hung?
The issues I have with this legislation, just so the public knows, when you are calling your council representative and you are asking them, why did my sewer rate go up automatically? As many of us on council have had these calls regarding the water rate increase. So just understand, I want the public to understand that section 2 takes away city council's review process on your rates going up in the future. For that reason, and I'm just not real happy with the way this legislation is written, I will be voting no.
Very good. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Swain.
how long has this rate increase been in effect as far as Avon Lake goes? are we just now learning about this? I don't understand why the public can't have their free reign.
Mr. Safety Director?
Can I chime in?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
So council actually reviewed the increase by French Creek wastewater treatment plant back in, what was it, January, February? So the wholesale rate went up then, and we all chimed in and had a chance to review that. So when we're talking about the automatic increase of the wholesale rate and increasing that rate correspondingly to the residents, council's already reviewed that process and reviewed the costs and the rate increases at that time, that we do that study, which is usually at the beginning of every year. So that rate has been in effect for Avon and Sheffield since January. And one of the reasons why our rate needs to go up as much as it is right now is because we did not raise it on our end in North Ridgeville like the other communities. So that's where, when Mr. Booth is saying that we're falling behind, because we didn't increase it at the time that the wholesale rate went up. That's why we're falling behind.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Director, do you also have something you want to add?
Oh, yeah, we've also paid in that 4% since January 1st. So our rates have gone up anyway. We're just taking it out of our reserve account money to get it there. And the other two communities certainly pass this on to their communities because French Creek is the one that raised the rate 4%, which we own.
Mr. President, I guess my question is the rates raised in January, why are we waiting 6 months later to try to rush this through?
Mr. Mayor, would you like to field that one?
Sure. That's there were a lot of different things that were going on. Unfortunately, what we should have done was raise the retail rate to the customers at the time that the wholesale rate went up. So we should have done it at the same time. So a bunch of different reasons why, but the main reason is because the study wasn't done to raise with the projects that we have on the North Ridgeville side. We're looking to raise rates once rather than raise them twice in a couple of months, over the course of a couple of months. And then, so there was that. It's really the sole reason for the delay. For us to raise the rate in January and then come back and raise it now, would just be a little bit too much, where we decided to do it once.
Big amount.
Well, sure, the 10% is actually a high number when you think about it, but the total amount is, see right there, that the total amount of the 10%, we're talking about 52 cents per 100 cubic feet. So between the water and sewer increases that we've reviewed, the total amount is $2.83, I believe it was, that the rates are going up per month for the average person. So we're talking about an increase of less than $36 for the whole year. Remember, this 10% is just based off of the sewer rate, not the total bill. So it's just one component of the bill, because the bill is made up of three rates: the water rate, the sewer rate, and garbage.
Thank you. So, any further questions? Any other members of council have any further questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
eastern side of town where we're at, sewer and storm are always large concerns for us in our side of town, a lot of older sections of housing and whatnot. And you hear the saying certain things roll downhill, infrastructure provides us somewhere for them to roll downhill too. So I really, it's an unfortunate necessity that the infrastructure of our sewers it costs money to support it. So that's why I'm in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Anybody else? All right. It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle, to add the emergency clause to T81 for the reasons stated. All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Wang,
No.
Booth,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung,
No.
Valesky,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
5 yes and 2 no.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle to adopt T81 with the emergency clause in place. Any final comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Wang,
No.
Booth,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung,
No.
Valesky,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
5 yes and 2 no.
T80.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
do we have a ordinance number on that, please?
5757 T81.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. T80.
T80 2020, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a participation agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the purchase of recalamite asphalt rejuvenator from the state bid list or state co-op, or to advertise for bid and enter into a contract with an outside vendor according to law and in a manner prescribed by law, in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Hung to dispense with the second and third readings. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
rental light is a solution that we have addressed during appropriations. and have already appropriated this amount for this project.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other comments or questions? All right, I'm dispensing with the second and third readings. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? And can we check Councilman Booth's mic again? I'm not hearing him on his.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. You'll dispense with the second and third reading.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
Move to add the emergency clause.
Okay.
Doing it in the opposite way, but that's okay.
Okay.
Move to adopt and add the emergency clause.
Very good.
Two separate.
Motion to adopt first.
Okay. It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Hung, to add the emergency clause to T80 for the reasons stated. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? It was then moved by the mayor, seconded by Hung, to adopt T80 with the emergency clause in place. Any final comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung,
Yes.
Valesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes 5750, ordinance 5758 2020.
T82.
T82, an ordinance amending the NRCO section 1294.01H fences.
There are no third readings. Meeting announcements. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, August the 3rd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. in City Council chambers. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.